Apparently, the radical sex activists at PFLAG pressured Ontario Police to arrest parental rights protesters ahead of the Million March for Children, and we filed for police records to find out for sure. After a year-long wait, the OPP finally responded, but they never took an extension to the original filing, which is an obvious breach of the law. And how exactly did it take them an entire year to respond the way that they did? Let's dig in. Last year, Rebel News was tipped off that the radical sex activists at PFLAG were pressuring police forces across Ontario to arrest parental rights protesters ahead of the Million March for Children, which saw a large number of parents in the street protesting in September 2023 all across the country. For context, PFLAG is a national nonprofit organization that describes itself as a group of parents, families, and friends of lesbians and gays to advance the rights of the alphabet soup mafia through a network of advocacy, education, and peer support. According to charity data, they do this work by giving out posters and brochures to schools, health authorities, community centers, and social service agencies. PFLAG also participates in workshops, public forums, and partnerships to promote awareness and education on diversity, sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression. Now, it was said that ahead of last year's first ever Million March for Children, organized by parents concerned about the sexually explicit and, quite frankly, pornographic content and radical sexual indoctrination of children in publicly funded schools, PFLAG allegedly requested not only the arrest of said protesters, but also debriefings after the protest to review police footage with them and have them explain why certain protesters weren't arrested to see if they could lay charges. We know that this isn't out of the realm of possibility with once respected institutions and organizations like the military hosting drag queen bingo and York Regional Police partaking in drag and donuts. The obsession with men cross-dressing and appropriating hyper-sexualized caricatures of women as some sort of beacon of inclusivity and tolerance is, well, bizarre, to say the least. In fact, it's worth noting here that it's typically the trans activists that become unhinged at these events, swarming peaceful protesters with deafening whistles and other strange sound devices, utilizing Antifa-adjacent tactics that are more reminiscent of fascism than liberty to intimidate those with different views and bully them into silence. The anonymous tipster did say that one particular force with the Greater Toronto area did not comply with this outlandish request, but that's not to say that others followed suit. So we filed an access to information request to find out, which you can support and stay up to date with at our exclusive investigations website, rebelinvestigates.com. The request was for all communication between PFLAG and Toronto Police Service and the Ontario Provincial Police regarding parental rights protests, drag events, and the Million March for Children from May until September last year. Now, it's been a year, and we finally received a response back. But not only did the OPP never take an extension as required by law, it took them a year to tell us that no records existed. The response reads, "Please be advised that access to the requested records cannot be granted as the information does not exist. Experienced staff familiar with the record holdings of the ministry conducted a records search. No responsive records were located." How did it take them an entire year to come back with no records response? It's absurd. So while the OPP breached the law by not responding to this request for records for an entire year without taking an extension, pursuing a complaint would likely only result in the commissioner acknowledging this breach after a lengthy process and additional expenses and fees to complain. However, we are filing for additional records in certain jurisdictions and more local police forces that are known to have cozy relationships with PFLAG chapter leaders. So please stay tuned for that and support this kind of work at rebelinvestigates.com, because liaising with radical activists undermines the credibility and independence of policing and deserves to be exposed. For Rebel News, I'm Tamara Ugolini. In addition to our exclusive investigations website, we have housed all of our reports on that Million March for Children and what exactly is happening in schools across the country at stopclassroomgrooming.com. So please be sure to check out that webpage as well. It's stopclassroomgrooming.com.